Hey, what's up, guys? Back here on the dossier to go further into the core sales message framework and the 8-step process that we use to go from research into real and raw copywriting with our ad campaigns. This is really where you want to start. Like, if you are willing to be disciplined and not skip ahead through all of the other content that is here within the masterclass setup in the other modules, and really spend an hour or two here in the core sales message framework, it will result for yourself, days and weeks from now. So this is our go-to research process that we pull information from a variety of different areas in order to find out where our target audience is, what are they interested in, their pain points, what competitors are doing. And so I'm going to give you a high-level overview here real quick, and then we're going to go into each of these steps in much more in-depth detail. So again, like I said, don't skip ahead to all of the other areas, within the training. And I know that you've had this beat into your head probably 100 times, but the research, the devil is in the details of the research. And 9 out of 10, maybe even 99 out of 100 marketers never do enough research. And if you skip this step at the beginning of, if you're a media buyer running an account, maybe you bring on a new account and you skip this step, how well are your ad campaigns going to run 3 weeks from now? Like, my best ad campaigns, when I've written ads that have done hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales just from one ad, it's because I started here. It's because I started with the research, and then I go through the hook frameworks, then I write variations of the hooks, then I know that I've got it, I go launch it, and the results show because I did the homework. The homework is hard, guys. The people who are willing to put in the hard work are the ones who win. And so this 8-step framework is a step-by-step process that you can easily follow that I've created for our agency clients and for other media buyers that you can use as well to get ultimate clarity on what exactly it is that you're doing with your messaging so that you can then use that message-driven targeting strategy in your campaigns. So I'm just going to go real quick over the 8 steps. So step 1 is the discovery. This is really like the beginning of the research. Step 2 is the dream customer ICP or customer profile. This is where you're going to get to know the customer that you're targeting or the prospect that you're targeting at a more intimate level of detail, I should say. You're going to get ideas for literal targetable interests here within this process. You're going to get lots of ideas for ad copy as well. Number 3 is a product discovery. So whether it's your product or a product for a client, you want to be understanding what the benefits are that your solution provides for the product. Again, remember, this is a copywriting exercise. This is a copywriting framework. We want to understand what this will do for me. You'll hear me talk a lot about that. The root of any winning ad really is, what do I get out of it? Like, what is this going to do to me? Why should I care? Why does this matter? And so understanding the actual benefits, and don't take this lightly, go deep into this, go really deep into, what are the actual benefits of the product or the service that your product provides, because this is what you're going to carry into your landing page copy and your ad copy later. So that's the product benefits. Number 4, this is where things really start to go even more in depth, is what we call the one belief statement. So the one belief statement is where, you really drive your unique selling proposition really clearly to, the individuals who you're targeting with your campaigns. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail at the moment, but it's a very sort of hands-on workshop type exercise that you're going to want to come through and go through so that you really know what the end goal is that you're trying to communicate to your prospect. Number 5 is what I call the 10 objection framework. There's an amazing book, if you've never read it, called The 16 Word Sales Letter. Amazing book that I highly suggest that you read, by the way. Some of this framework is built on some philosophy from the 16 Word Sales Letter. And what you'll come to find out is there are naturally about 10 objections that a potential prospect will have when they are consuming the information about your product, whether that's in the ad, the landing page, follow-up sales material, the presentation, when they're on a call. Even when you guys came into Masterclass, and Mastery, you had objections, whether maybe it was the price, or what is this going to do for me, or how exactly does it work, or what proof does Will have? If you read these questions, I've answered most of those questions, which is why you guys are now in the program, right? And so the goal of your marketing campaign is to overcome as many of these objections as possible up front, because that's what creates a high converting campaign or landing page, etc. And so this is, again, another area that you do not want to take lightly. This could probably be one of the most important areas to spend the most amount of time on when it comes to your research and putting intentionality behind what you're doing. Like, I really want you to think of, I always try to come up with at least 10 answers for every one of these questions. So when you're done with it, you should have about 100 responses within this whole framework that you can draw on. Because if you can understand from almost every angle what objection the consumer has about your product, you just put that messaging in your ad or in your landing page, and how much better is it going to convert, right? You're going to lose less traffic. And so I use this often to write really high converting sales pages, like greater than 4 or 5%. Industry average, as you probably know, is like 1.5%, 2%. And it's because I start with this framework, which is also built on a framework called Copyboarding by Agora Financial, if you're familiar. And essentially what you do is you bring the biggest objection that someone has about your product as the main headline at the top of your page, and then you sort of work your way down. So I just got myself into explaining it, right? So anyways, 10 objection framework. We'll come back to this in more in-depth detail. Number 6, your newly refined one belief statement. So after you're going through understanding the customer, understanding the benefits that the solution or your product provides, understanding the objections that your customer has, you're going to write a new one belief statement. That's what this tab is here. Number 7, now that you've gotten, refined, unique selling proposition for your brand, now you're going to go through this messaging intensive exercise. This is probably going to take you a couple of hours. Not going to lie about that. A bunch of you are probably not going to want to do it. A bunch of you probably are not going to do it, and that's okay. But the ones that will go through this and actually spend the time to dig into this exercise, this is where you start to find the copy gold. So that's the messaging intensive. It's actually a process to review product reviews. So let's say you've got a bunch of reviews on Amazon or on your website. When you actually truly understand what your customers are saying to an in-depth level of detail, you can actually use that in your ad copy. So again, we'll go through this as well in much more in-depth detail. And lastly, number 8, this is your campaign promise. So after you've done all this research, you understand what your customer's saying. You understand the objections that a new prospect has. You understand who you're targeting, what they're interested in, what they're not interested in, what they're already doing. Then you can craft this campaign promise that's really sort of the initial framework for your future copywriting. And if you get as jazzed about this as I do, it's obviously a little nerdy, right? But it's really a fact-finding mission. You're on this fact-finding mission to really, really understand who your customer is or who your dream customer is. And that's what's going to really fuel all of your future ad copywriting. And when you do that, your results will reflect of it on the back end in your campaigns so that you can go broad and you can run your ads like crazy. You can run thousands of dollars a day or more, for one account. And, you'll see the results on the back end of it with this message-driven targeting process. And then when you implement ad variable isolation into your setup and you have ultimate clarity on what exactly is working, you're going to crush it. So that's the core sales message framework. That's how to go from discovery into raw copywriting. And then we'll go through refinement of copywriting here in the future, in future mastery lessons that you can start using and cultivating in your campaigns. Thanks for joining me on this one. I'll catch you here really soon.